This 200,000-ton giant U.S. aircraft carrier was under siege by hundreds of Japanese fighter planes, but relying on its agile maneuverability, the U.S. aircraft carrier perfectly dodged all the bombs. Then, the soldiers on the carrier quickly counterattacked, raising the anti-aircraft guns and firing at the incoming Japanese fighter planes. At that moment, a bomber that had been hit suddenly changed direction and charged toward the carrier. As the bomber got closer and closer, a U.S. soldier quickly climbed onto a fighter plane and manned the machine gun, firing wildly at the Japanese bomber. The soldiers' actions successfully saved the U.S. Enterprise aircraft carrier. The Japanese, having failed in their attack, didn't give up. So, on May 8, 1942, the Japanese sank the U.S. Lexington aircraft carrier at the Coral Sea in the South Pacific. This successful counterattack boosted the confidence of the Japanese commanders. They immediately formulated a plan to attack Midway Island. After some deliberation on the sand table, the Japanese commanders thought the plan was perfect, but they underestimated the U.S. intelligence department. By decrypting Japanese intelligence, the intelligence officers learned that the Japanese were going to bomb Midway Island. After the U.S. commander found out, he quickly made a battle plan. To confuse the Japanese, he sent the Enterprise aircraft carrier back to Pearl Harbor to replenish ammunition and then waited north of Midway Island after the resupply. At 6 o'clock in the morning on June 4th, hundreds of Japanese fighter planes launched the first wave of air raids on Midway Island. At the same time, a U.S. reconnaissance plane discovered the Japanese aircraft carrier fleet 180 miles northwest of Midway Island. The commander immediately gave the order to attack. Then, the Air Force from Midway Island quickly arrived over the Japanese aircraft carrier fleet and concentrated its firepower, trying to destroy the Japanese carriers. The U.S. bombers dropped a dense array of bombs. The Japanese on the decks quickly counterattacked, and the Japanese carriers also immediately changed direction. Relying on their high maneuverability, they successfully dodged all the shells. But just then, a U.S. bomber that had been hit launched a suicide attack on the Japanese aircraft carrier. Later, the Japanese commander learned that these U.S. bombers came from Midway Island. So, he immediately ordered a second wave of attacks on Midway Island. But at that moment, a Japanese reconnaissance plane discovered the U.S. fleet, which shocked the Japanese commander. He suddenly realized that the Japanese had fallen into a U.S. trap. Although he knew the battle was likely lost, he still had a glimmer of hope. He recalled all the bombers from Midway Island, had the bombs replaced with torpedoes and armor-piercing shells, and prepared to fight the U.S. fleet to the death.